Welcome everyone to the Island Life podcast, where we journey onto the island of discovery to relive some of the best and worst moments of Survivor. My name is Will, an experienced Survivor fan, 49 seasons deep, and I will be your guide. And joining us on this adventure is our rising Survivor fan with 15 seasons under her belt, Edge.
Hello.
And of course, we also have our Survivor newbie, the brand new Survivor fan, who just finished his 8th season of the show. I give you Survivor F.
How goes it? How are you guys?
Oh, we good. Plus, 8th season F, because in the midst of our time traveling recording schedule here, you just finished 46, so you have yet another
Indeed.
data point in your Survivor knowledge.
I can add that to my resume. Yes, of course.
An apt choice of words, because I think, trying to break down what's been going on in this season, Micronesia, season 16, and we just watched episodes 5 and 6. I think we are seeing the beginnings of people being resume conscious, an extremely common thing nowadays. That is, everyone's always aware of their own resume to win and everybody else's resume to win, and that becomes number one in everyone's mind of who to target. And I say that because I think these 6 episodes are a crazy cool case study of Chet. And there's a bunch of topics, but I think the Chet aspect of all these episodes is I have someone in my alliance, but that person is F tier in challenges and at camp. How long can they stay instead of in favor of getting other threats out? And I just thought it was fascinating to see it play out over half a dozen episodes.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page about that. It's just been it's been an interesting experience, as I've described, where you would think that someone who's on the weaker end at some point would be picked off, and the fact that episode after episode, despite what everyone sees, that's not the direction they end up going in. It just goes to show where everyone's head is at that stage of the game. And I remember in our earlier conversations about this, you would mention that, oh, okay, well, the modern era has certain approaches where they do that sort of thing. But this is season 16 that we're talking about. This is kind of one of the original seasons. And it's just interesting to see how the perception of everyone and how they decide to pick off the people with their votes, how they prioritize one thing over the other. For me personally, I'm always going to prioritize getting rid of the person who's sending me to tribal most frequently. That is probably going to be one thing I would hope not to change. But it seems like sometimes people are thinking a little bit further out, and they're getting rid of people because they're concerned of what the final 3 could entail. And I always got to ask, well, you have to actually get to the final 3 to start worrying about that. If you're thinking about that, in the first 2-3 episodes, it doesn't make too much sense to me.
For sure. I agree on that. It feels like I get wanting to have your people with you and don't want them on the chopping block, but there's only so much you can protect them. At what point you're like, hello, wake up. If I don't go to tribal, I don't have to worry about protecting this guy. And this guy keeps making me go to tribal. And then I have to be worried about me. And it's just the more chances I'm going to tribal, the higher the chances I'm going to have to go. And it just doesn't help with I feel like it also doesn't help with tribal vibes. You're not really you kind of get less of that relationship aspect of it and more so trying to stay alive, So your whole game is just trying to stay alive and go for other people. And I don't think that's a good kind of way to, I don't know, make relationships happen.
And it's we're being fed one thing based on what everyone's saying in terms of we need a strong tribe. But you look at the past 4 episodes, and excluding the episode that Johnny Fairplay got voted out, the first episode, yeah, man, he's someone who was deemed a threat. We don't know too much about him, having not watched that season, but he probably would have been pretty helpful. Wouldn't like he wouldn't have been one of the weaker survivors just based on how he's been described. And then who else goes out? Then we have Mary, just by association of Mikey B, get voted out on her tribe. She's not one of the weaker girls. And then later we have Mikey himself get eliminated, and he's like what, the second strongest person in that tribe physically. So it's fascinating to see everyone's talking about, well, we need to stay a strong tribe. We're saying that, but then we're actively picking off the people who are adding to the strength of our tribe rather than detracting from it. So it's been puzzling in that sense.
I think
For
it's helpful
real.
to break down. I'm fascinated what you guys think about this because it's not everyone thinking this. Like there are people more than just Joel that their preference is taking out Chet. It's just it turns out there's enough people that disagree to make it not happen. Um, in actually 46. So in 46, there's a bunch of times where it's like, ooh, here's gonna be the easy vote. But then like three different people are like, that would be the easy vote. But what I want to do, dot dot dot. And then that's like the Venuses, the Tevins of the world would come up with some other plan. In that case, a lot of it was to build their own resume, and like the easy vote doesn't look good in a resume, but a blind side does. That's kind of the thinking then. In this season, I guess going down the list, because that's what you're doing, F. So Mary goes home because Joel decides that even though his first instinct was to target Chet, and a bunch of other people also want Chet, uh, Mikey B has shown himself to be strategic, and according to Joel, is kind of being the head honcho and bossing people around. So he felt he needed to weaken a potential threat. That one, I don't even know if that's necessarily worrying about the end. It's like, I guess it's just like vibes. Like he got a gut feeling that this person needed to be put in his place. So that was one example. So do we judge that move by Joel as a yay or a nay?
Absolutely.
Boo.
Yeah, absolutely a nay. I feel like this was if I'm not mistaken, this was the one challenge that took them to tribal where Chet just kind of gave up in the middle of the challenge where they were in the water. Like that is not good body language early on in a season of Survivor. Your body's going to continue to weaken over the course of the game, and if you're already giving up this early in the game, you're not going to get any better later on. And to me, that's a major red flag that needs to be taken care of.
This one's tough too. Like he's not your ally, Joel. Like Joel, he's not or has not worked with you yet. He's in the minority alliance. He heavily contributed to you losing. It feels like a no-brainer. This feels like you done played yourself um
For real.
if you're Joel.
Oh, we'll
It's
we'll
like,
see that
So
in.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
we're getting
Ange.
there.
oh, I was just saying, like, it's just in the end, it comes biting him in the butt, you know? But yeah,
I was
we'll
gonna
we'll
say,
get
yeah.
there. Mhm.
Episode 5, we
Yeah.
immediately we immediately see
Guys!
Joel deal with it.
Yeah, for real.
Well, well, yeah.
I was saying, like, in the begin we start up, like, I feel like in the start, it just doesn't make sense getting rid of another strong guy. Like, I'm sorry, Chet, you're not strong, and it feels like you've given up. I don't know, is it the way they, like, pan over him, but he's always looking in the water. He's just, like, contemplating, like, "Why am I even here?" And it's like, "Sir, it's okay if you don't wanna be here, you know? Let the rest of us enjoy."
I
Well,
think
yeah, and I guess I don't know if he I the only thing I could say is in episode 2, maybe the sample size isn't that much yet, so maybe it can be like, maybe those were
Mhm.
just some bad challenges for Chet, like, whatever, okay. But then, case number B, exhibit B is once again that tribe the fans go to tribal council, and once again, most people want Chet, including Joel, but this time it is Tracy that makes a strategic decision, and she decides that it is the best interest for her if her three-person alliance survives, and therefore Chet must live. And so she manipulates Joel and leads to a chain reaction that that gets out Mikey B. Uh, and I guess in that case, I don't know if her preferred target was Mikey B, but she needed somebody she could convince Joel to target, and the only person that had a chance of that was Mikey B. So that's why I ended up being him. So for Tracy, yay or nay?
That was impressive, not gonna lie. The fact that she took a position of minority early on in that tribe and was able to think strategically and maneuver her way just through social engineering this sort of threat that Joel clearly bid on.
I acknowledge impressive, but this is about was it worth doing? Because this is the case study of the Chet. So was it a good idea to save Chet
Mhm,
and
mhm,
keep him in the
mhm,
game?
mhm.
In
No.
Tracy's case, I would probably say at this point still yes, because they already have an understanding that they're the weaker three, the weaker trio, and they're slowly gonna be picked off one by one if they don't start skimming something off the top there. And if Joel's not at the top, then Mikey B's at the top. So at this point, it definitely does help her game. It helps her last longer than otherwise.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I also feel like we've lost so many times already by now that it feels like why? And it also feels like I feel like Tracy wants Chet there more than Chet does. I feel like
Yeah.
Chet has
No, she
lost
does.
a piece of himself already, and it's like I don't see a way around of him like winning challenges in any way, and it's just increase your risk of going back to tribal.
Yeah,
So you're
again,
thinking
this is
maybe give up on the alliance at that point, like it's a lost cause.
Yeah, for me, it's over now. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like more days spent on Chet is less days spent on other people and more enemies making. So, I mean, they lost a lot of strong people from it. I mean,
yeah.
it honestly is impressive the fact that Chet is still there, but it's not from Chet, it's from Tracy, which is also very impressive. But again, I don't think this was gonna be lasting long time.
Yeah, it's very questionable. I feel like with Tracy, she sees him as a potential lifeline and as a potential shield. So part of the reason why she's keeping him afloat, despite everything pointing to it being an odd decision, is that she might feel that, oh, he's a number who can get eliminated at any point. And if he's going to get eliminated, he can serve as a shield in front of me. Like, I know for sure if I'm getting eliminated, Chet will probably be eliminated before me. So the longer I keep him afloat, the longer I'm keeping myself afloat. That's my assessment on how she views that situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then what do you think about for the third time Chet is at a tribal council where he's
Yeah.
in danger? Is in episode 5. That's a swapped Malakal tribe. Once again, everybody wants to target Chet. That includes the fans and the favorites. But now we analyze Suri. Suri hears this plan and decides, uh-uh, this isn't best for my game. Actually, we should target Joel. Uh, so, Suri's decision, yay or nay?
Ugh. I don't know why Suri thinks that. I mean, in the end of the day, it's good because she's taking out people that are not in part of her alliance. So I guess it doesn't matter. But wouldn't you not? She did say like, "Hey, lovely idea, but if you're going by people that are weak needs to go, I'm part of it. You know, I'm one of the people." So I get where she's going at, but I'm like, why? Why? Like, I just didn't think Chet was gonna bring them to win, you know? So, I didn't personally like it. I get her perspective though, because Chet could be a good body blocker, you know? Like, the longer you keep Chet, the more you have someone else to have, like, that's worse than you. So, I guess now that I'm talking about it, maybe I do like this idea a bit more from her POV because it's not part of her alliance, so it makes sense. And 2, I guess, why not? If I could have him stay for a little bit, and if we go to tribal again and him to go, whatever.
I just feel like he's overstayed his welcome. I don't see the reason for keeping him around. Like, you're seeing a common theme with the tribe that keeps losing, and he's part of the losing equation, like, every time, and he's one of the main catalysts for why they lose in pretty much most of their most of the challenges. So, regardless of whatever reason Suri thinks makes sense, I think to save my own hide, to deal with a pattern that we should at least be noticing at this point, even if you're not originally part of that tribe, it makes no sense to keep him around. Like, it really doesn't.
And that brings us to the last time that Chet goes tribal council, which was the second episode we watched this time. Uh, I'm going to call this Chet's decision. He could have participated in an epic blind side of Ozzy, but instead decides to essentially vote himself out and goes home. So yay or nay to Chet limiting himself.
I just
Should have
why didn't you leave like
Yeah,
2 days
like, should have
ago, you
happened
know?
in the previous episode where he actually got injured, which caused him to decide to leave in the first place. Could
Yeah,
have
I also
potentially
think it's
saved
BS
Joel a spot.
for
Yeah.
sure. I just if he was a good player, he would have capitalized this and blindside Ozzy. That would be a crazy play, and that would be impressive. I mean, it would really help their team too. It's just crazy. It was funny because you see Tracy and like just begging, like just begging him to just stay,
Yeah, and Eric
please.
too,
Eric is just like, before you go, before you die, just help us one last time. Your
with your
mates, and he,
dying breath.
yeah, and he's
That
just
was
like,
so odd. I've never seen such
okay.
a terrible player be like, people wanting to keep him in the game. Like, I've just never seen that.
It's frustrating to watch, I'm not gonna lie, because it just feels like, why I don't know, why didn't you say this earlier? And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, after seeing pus from Jonathan, I fear I did not see much pus from you, Chat. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh,
Like I said, like,
you're calling him an Austin. That's what you're calling him, who thought he was getting
Maybe,
pneumonia, among other things.
yeah, maybe I am. And what if I am?
I would be too. Yeah. I mean, like, look at him, like, in that, their very first challenge loss. Like, the fans actually won their first, the first not, yeah, the first immunity challenge. And they caused the favorites to have to vote off one of their own, that being Johnny Fairplay. But, like, the first challenge that they ultimately lost, like, he already had a defeatist body language. So it's just not a good look. And from that point on, he's been sluggish. He's not been helping them out at camp. There's been friction between him and some of the other members of his tribe. And
Mhm.
it's just been very puzzling how he's even made it this far. Like, it doesn't make sense that a lot of the people who got voted off, like, they probably could have done better in some of those challenges had Chet not been in and one of the people who got eliminated be in, right? Like, I know the order for this is kind of all over the place, but, like, even look at, like, the challenge that they ended up losing in episode 6, right? They had a hobbled Jonathan Penner compete on the other team and give them more of a fight than whatever you got from Chet. Like, that was pretty embarrassing. So, like, you can't convince me that if they didn't have Joel for that challenge, they wouldn't have just won that challenge.
Yeah, this is all to say 99.9% of the time, I think you overrule your idea of tribe strength in favor of your personal strategic strength, which is usually your alliance. Like, I think it'd be dumb to throw away your alliance just because it happens to contain a weaker member of the tribe. That being said, Chet may very well be the 0.1% of the time because the consequences of keeping him has affected everyone who's made that choice. The only person who's unscathed so far is Suri. We'll see if she ever regrets her decision. I mean, she had to go to an extra tribal council, so I mean, what? And in fact, her name was a possibility if Chet had actually not quit. Because let's not mince words. Similar to our Johnny Fairplay discussion, Chet quit. In the archives, it's not a quit
Yeah.
because he did get voted out, um, but yeah, they in that timeline where he doesn't quit, the original plan was Suri. So Suri's decision to not eliminate uh Chet could have got her out. And everybody else and for Joel, he's gone. Chet himself, obviously, he got himself out, and then Tracy's still in, but now her alliance has fallen apart. I mean, Kathy's not even on this tribe, so she's alone. Uh Maybe Eric will work with her. We'll see. Uh yeah, this is I think this is the 0.1% where Chet's the exception. I also think that
J-
the episode doesn't take Chet's side. This is tough to parse out because we're watching an edited show, so I understand. A phrase from another podcast. You're looking at the 1% of the 1% of what happens out there. So we don't know everything, but we see everything about Jonathan Penner and his struggle and his fight and the clear evidence and the medic going to his knee and everything over the course of 2 episodes, compared to Chet, who only reveals this injury halfway through this episode. Uh, we don't see any medic with him. We get no extra details, and like the bad look of him not participating in a move. So it seems to me the show also does not like Chet.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna mince words myself. Like, parts of the season have just been terrible. Like, while the season overall, because of the cast of characters, has been good and some of the challenges have been great, like the fact that Johnny came in and we were talking about how he, like, why did he even join the season if he was going to do that, right? Like, if he was just going to leave the first episode the way that he did. I'm saying the exact same thing with Chet, where he came in and like he clearly was not in it to play the game because he was mentally checked out from like going into their first tribal. He was already mentally checked out there and he was doing nothing to help himself. What we as the viewers are seeing is Tracy becomes his lifeline and is desperate to save him every time. Even when he is talking about, hey, no, I need to leave the game. He's trying to convince them that no, I need to leave. And it's like, why didn't like if you wanted like why did you come to play the game? And if you came to play the game, why did you get other people eliminated if like you just from the get-go were not involved? Like what was the point of that? I would rather someone else be in the game who actually wants to be in the game rather than someone who clearly doesn't.
It hurts especially. This is a tribe of fans, a super fan. This is not just anybody. This isn't just like Courtney recruited from her waitress duty. So, yeah,
Yeah,
Chet
I
is very
forgot about
disappointing.
that. You're right. You're right. I forgot about that. That they are
I mean,
fans.
Chet
They do
himself
know
forgot about
Chet.
that.
I know. I just I feel sad because I feel like they've been like dragging Chet along, and I do feel bad that like I think maybe he's just over it. People are rude. I don't know, but it feels like it wasn't from this like quote unquote injury that made him quit. And it just sees like side by side. You see like the way it just put together is like Jonathan literally fighting for his life, prevent like about to get like bacteremia sepsis from an infection, wanting to stay in this game because he's like, I got this. I really want to play, truly a hero's edit, like a survivor favorites edit. He got it. He got a hero's edit versus Chet is like, I have this pus. I just want to put it out. You guys just got to vote me out. And then you zoom in on the foot where you don't see much. You see a little bit of redness, maybe an abrasion. I don't know. You can't really see it fully, evaluate it, but you don't really. It just looks very contrasting compared to Jonathan, who's like literally fighting to stay, and Chet's just like, just take me out. I got this thing going on my foot.
I was gonna save this for the end, but I could bring it up now. Chet is weird. You may recall when we talked about Pearl Islands, we talked about Austin, who had kind of a similar thing of asking himself to get voted out, and then although that one got ruled as an actual quit, and Jeff like threw his torch down, if you remember. Um, and then
Oh
we
yeah,
talked
that was
afterwards.
funny.
on the podcast where, well, he did, although he didn't have like pneumonia like he did have like a staph infection, like in the meantime that wasn't shown. So I looked to see if something similar was for Chet, and uh, it turns out the world doesn't know. The trouble is that afterwards, but like a long time afterwards, Chet was interviewed, and he says that he did end up getting surgery on the foot afterwards.
Oh,
But
okay.
the problem is that unlike a bunch of other people where this happened to, and then like when you interview the other contestant, they reference it. No other contestant has actually mentioned this at all. Like we don't say it. Chet claims that production just blew it off. That's quote in quotations. Production and Jeff just blew it off. Like in other words, like no one from medical bothered to give it any time. Like they didn't even look at it. Um, so this is hard because we only have one claim, and it's from the person himself. And obviously, it's not like I can go look up people's health records. That is not public data. But so maybe benefit of the doubt, he indeed was like in pain that was affecting him physically and emotionally, and that's why he wanted to go.
Oh,
But
I've no doubts
we,
about
you know,
that.
we don't see it, and then the camera shots we see, we don't see it to our less trained eye than I guess someone who's right there and like not looking through a camera. Um, so it's tough. I guess it all depends how much benefit of the doubt you're willing to give Chet.
Well, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but I recall like even when they're talking about his foot, he's not strictly just talking about his foot. He mentioned that he has other health issues too. Like he said that in the entire sequence where they were talking about his foot when he first brought it up, that like I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with other like health issues. He said something along those lines. So it tells me that there's something even more beyond that. And obviously, yes, like again, his body language, he's mentally checked out. And that just again goes to my question of like, why is he participating in this game then? Like why is he even in this for as long as he is? If it's getting to that point, or if you're mentally out of it, like just take yourself out sooner, or just don't involve yourself in this sort of game where if you're a fan especially, you should be aware of the risks of what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. So I kind of want to give him at least some percentage benefit of the doubt. So I'll reduce my frustration a bit. It transforms it into disappointment that then he wasn't more vocal about him, because it is like horrible double standard if one person gets all this attention and he doesn't. But maybe he just didn't request it the same way. Maybe it's because from the very beginning he wasn't giving 100% effort. So then later on, when he's still not giving 100% effort, it doesn't stand out. Whereas when Jonathan's not giving 100% effort, it's obvious. And then Jeff like asks for medical. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of Chet, but I think it's just fascinating that this is a weird case study in what is normally obvious strategy that I don't think worked out for almost anyone, which is be loyal to your alliance and keep them alive. Um, yeah. So let's get into some specifics of the episode. So the first one, episode 5, which is called "He's a Ball of Goo." I think maybe it's said by Joel to with regards to Chet.
Mhm.
Uh, but the main thing here, uh, predicted by accident by you, Ange, it's a tribe swap.
I can't believe it. I literally spent most of last episode being like, "Oh, if it's everybody equal, they won't do a tride swap and that's the best thing ever because I hate tride swaps. I hate it." And then I couldn't even during a good time, we couldn't have gone away from a tride swap. Like how did that happen? Guys, what happened?
the timing too, like, especially for, like, Ozzy, right? Because he finally reveals to the other 3 that he's tight with,
That's
James,
true.
Amanda, Parvati, like, he tells them that, "Oh, okay, well, don't tell anyone, but, I actually got the hidden immunity idol." Right after he reveals that, we get told, "Yeah, there's gonna be a tribe swap." You know Ozzy's kind of thinking about that, like, "Oh, should I have mentioned that? Because they're not part of my tribe now. This is gonna be really awkward."
Yeah, who knows what could happen? I mean, in China, when Frosty and Sharia get swapped, they abandon their original tribe. I mean, that on paper, that could happen. James and Parvati could abandon them and join other people. In which case, they now know that Ozzy has the idol.
Yeah, so, I mean, it just goes to show you there's always a risk in telling people because you never know if Jeff's gonna pull a fast one and do something like this, but, like, this is one of those cases where the tribes were pretty much even in terms of vote out, so it's, it's not a situation where you're trying to balance the tribes, but
Yeah, yeah.
s
You kind of predicted this in a way. So way back when we were talking about the multiple swaps in season 49, we were trying to theorize like what if there has to be a swap, like how to make it equal. And so this was a swap that's specifically engineered to keep the same number of fans and favorites on both sides. So did that make it feel better at least? Or maybe you just liked it overall. So what were your feelings on this?
yeah, I felt like it is nice to change things. I might have waited another episode or 2, but maybe they're thinking about getting into a post-merge setting by that point, I don't know. Uh, Generally, I feel like you can do without, like, the season can be fine without having to do an additional tribe swap in the way that it's been balanced. It felt like it was kind of unnecessary, but, like, I'm always a fan of trying to thin out those tribal lines and work beyond what the title of the season is supposed to be. If it's categorizing each tribe to a certain theme, I feel like it's a good hook, but once you're able to get beyond that and adapt as a tribe overall and be able to form your own personal alliances, that's what makes Survivor more interesting to follow. So, all things considered, yeah, this was one of the better tribe swaps I've seen.
I do like how they did, like, the rollout where you had to pick from the other team, and then the other team and then it was equal, and, I think that made it better, the fact that it was like that. You could see, like, everybody's holding on, like, to their faces to, like, "Ugh, are they gonna pick the people I wanna work with?" Like, because they can't be like, "Oh, go pick that person," you know? So, it was cool to see them, like it wasn't just all random, you know? Like, I don't like that. This was truly they had to pick from the other team. It wasn't like one person got like, well, they could be swap screwed, but like it was equal. You know, it wasn't like, oh, there's more of this favorites versus like fans. It was an equal amount. So I think that part of it worked out. But I also don't like it. I don't like this tribe like swap. I don't want swap. I don't want mixes. I just thought merges is enough. I need the merge. If no merge, don't do this to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It also took it was kinda like a long time, like a lot of airtime was used for this,
Mhm.
uh, like, longer than usual because sometimes it's just, like, draw rocks, like, everyone reveal and then it's just done. This is draw rocks to figure out captains, and then explain that, okay, it's, I think, Natalie and Ozzy, so Ozzy, you have to pick somebody from the fans tribe, and then and then alternate, and then you have to wait for each person, and each person that you pick, now they're picking the next person. I did think it was clunky and that it took a long time.
Mhm.
But I mean, it does give you some opportunities to see strategy. Like you get to see who could pick whom. Ozzy gets Joel's name wrong or someone's.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was awkward, but, I mean, they haven't really met I feel like I'll be honest with you, that would be something I would do. Or
Jason
I
did it
would not
too.
pick that person
Parvati.
and just yeah, yeah. Oh,
Called her
poverty.
Poverty.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
oof,
I don't
oof.
think it was I feel like oh my gosh. That was
Uh,
awkward.
The
Poverty.
highlight for me, in this sequence, I don't know if you 2 caught this, was Joel's face once he realized that Chet's back on his team.
Yes. He was like in his I was like, "Is this some sort of karma or something, like, from yesterday's vote?"
I
He
mean,
was so done with it.
yeah, no, that's crazy. So on the Malakal beach, which was the favorite's original beach, we have Ozzy, Amy, Suri, and Amanda. Those are the original favorites, and then Joel, Tracy, Chet, and Eric are the original fans. And then on the I Rise beach, the original fans are Natalie, Jason, Alexis, and Kathy. And the original fans are James, Parvati, Jonathan, Eliza. On Malakal's beach, the fans are amazed by the awesome like beach setup and the tribe and the shelter and all that stuff. So they're generally having a good time, except for Joel, like you said, because he's stuck with Chet again. Uh, on the other side, the favorites to their horror, they see dreadful setup that the fans had. They even discover that there was two different shelters. That's another bad thing. Um, literally, they're trying to eat at the fire, and the tide just comes in and Dwight wipes out the fire. I'm like,
That
oh
was
man,
so
this is
unfortunate.
Mhm.
Oh, it's like the act of God. Even God was like, "Not for you."
not for
Close
you.
it
Well, I mean,
down.
less unfortunate, and more just poor decision to put it that close to the water.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Which Eliza and company, I mean, they tried to point it out, but maybe they just decided not to push it and just let it be. But after that, like the next day, it's like, all right, we're moving everything. We're building a new, which they do actually, like very quickly. So advantage of experience there, and advantage of having James also. Um, and so the two challenges. So one of the challenges was for reward, which was like the food, steak, sausage, wine. It's called Cat and Mouse. So this looked interesting, but it would have horrible ramifications for the season, as we find out. But there's like a kind of obstacle course maze, like as a square, and the object is that in pairs, like so you and I are tied to each other, two other people are tied to each other, and one pair is chasing the other pair, like flag football style. And you're trying to grab a flag from them, and you're just gonna do that a bunch of times until someone gets 3 points. Uh, so simple to understand. You kind of get to see the whole each round in full because it only lasts 60 seconds. So that because usually if the challenge lasts 30 minutes, we're gonna see like 5 minutes or less. So it is kind of cool to see the whole thing. But so many injuries. This is what would injure Jonathan, but also Parvati gets hurt. Amy gets hurt at one point. It's rough.
Yeah, I hate these ones where they have such high risks of injury. It just it's just I cringe a little seeing these ones. It's not like that these are the ones where I'm like, "Ah, why did they do that?" You know, you're attached to two people, you're going up, you're going down, easily hit. These are gonna cause big injury. You're causing a risk of a concussion, you're having risk of falling injury, you know, someone busted a Parvati busted her lip. You get Jonathan with the freaking stick in in his knee. It's just like, oh god, it's terrible.
Yeah, once again, going back to our favorite duo, Joel and Chet, they're, paired together for this, doing the originally as part of the people, um, I forget where they originally chased regardless, they have their turn both chasing and being chased, and in the final sequence, as they're chasing, Chet, again, kind of lagging behind, but I will give some of the blame to Joel here as well. Joel was kind of dragging him along and not communicating to the best of his ability, and that ended up getting Chet, like, hit in the head pretty hard. We're talking about concussions. He might have gotten concussed there.
Mhm.
And Joel, like, did not seem to care. Like, he was more about winning the challenge than actual, like, the safety of his tribe members. So it's unfortunate to see that. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's a game. Like,
Mhm.
win or lose the game, like, that's a human being right there. Like, you should be pretty considerate about that.
Mhm.
But, like, he's so invested in the game, and, like, they're butting heads on pretty much everything, and it just goes back to the fact that this entire episode serves as, like, a major, like, serving of karma for Joel, in that you
Mm.
had an opportunity to get rid of Chet and you didn't, and it came back to bite you.
Yeah, literally attached, like, how did that even happen? Like, whoa.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt, the only thing I could say is maybe the pairs are random. Because if
Mm.
not, well, then why did you pair Joel with Chet? Like, that was destined for disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Lack of
maybe it's random.
communication, maybe.
Uh, yeah, this Joel doesn't look great here. I mean, I no really no one looks. Neither of them look that great. But Joel looks worse because he's just injuring his teammate and not caring about it. Literally telling him, "I don't care."
Yeah.
When Chet's
Yeah,
like,
no,
"Oh, like I hit my head."
that was a that was a major dick move. Like, you don't do
Yeah.
that.
So that's not great. The immunity challenge was called a stone's throw. So this is like half your tribe is gonna throw rocks at these tiles that are being hung from like a post, like a structure by rope. And so when you hit the tile, it will break and then drop the puzzle pieces. And then when you've done that to all of your tiles and got all your puzzle pieces, then three of the four remaining people will assemble a puzzle, while one of the remaining four people will kind of be on a big post, like a lifeguard post type of thing, so they can see like bird's eye view, and they will try to like direct traffic and tell them what like how to do the puzzle. Um, highlights here, uh, poor poor Irai, like they keep hitting tiles, and although they break, they don't completely fall down, and it happens multiple times. And Jonathan was particularly getting more and more frustrated. We actually saw this in this season, kind of like complaining, and Jeff's like, "It's all the same tiles, Penner," or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely frustrating.
I looked
And yeah,
it looked easy for the other team, and then it looked hard because it was just stuck there, and I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." But they caught on well, though. I thought it was over for the other team.
yeah. Well, so because Malakal doesn't have that problem, they're pretty quickly able to get through all their tiles, knock them down. They get to work on the puzzle immediately, and they just struggle, and I think there's a lot to blame. Like the actual puzzle makers, uh, weren't able to like instinctively get it. Chet was like the caller, and it's hard to say because I mean we're not seeing exactly what we're seeing if he's giving wrong directions, but at the very least he's not confidently giving directions. And then from the sidelines, even Joel, who's not participating in this, is also giving like he's disagreeing with Chet. So now you have someone on the sidelines giving conflicting directions from the person who's the caller, plus you, the puzzle maker, whatever your ideas are. And yeah, that all fell apart.
Yeah, it didn't work out. They caught up. The lead was so they caught up and it was very impressive on the other team, but fortunately they didn't do so well and they lost. It's crazy. And it feels like it's just ironic because it feels like it is Chet's fault again. But you're right. It could be that, lots of things are happening. It's not just his fault. It could be, a lot of things added on to it, but it's just the way it looks. It's just, here you go. They lose again because of Chet.
Well, part of what later in this episode going into tribal, what swung the vote and allowed them to convince the others that Joel may be in play is that, okay, well, Joel wasn't even competitive in this challenge itself. He was himself struggling to hit the targets. And if you're looking at the sequence where he's barking orders, he's not even involved there. He's just kind of adding to confusion. He's not like that might not even be helping, right? Like regardless of what Chet's seeing or not seeing, it's just a sign of communication breakdown that we're seeing over and over again. We saw that in the earlier challenge too, where he's partly to blame for Chet getting injured. He could have communicated better. So while yes, Chet has been struggling and not keeping his own and not playing to the best of his ability, I'm sure we all believe that he's capable of more than he's been showing. It's just that Joel is in no way supporting him or like doing anything to help out or be considerate, and he's not even at times communicating properly to him. So they're both part of a problem, and Joel, excuse me, is coming across as toxic at times. So it
Mhm.
turns a problem into an even bigger problem where yes, every time we keep talking about Chet, like there is a reason to take Joel out here too. It's just, is it more urgent than Chet? I would think not, but it makes it a vote that you have to think about more at an initial glance.
Yeah, the one disappointing thing is because the swap happens in a perfectly even way, it does line you up for a head-to-head 4 versus 4 at tribal council, but this and usually what that means is each side trying to persuade someone from the other to flip. But what we see is Ozzy and Joel kind of acting on behalf of the 2 sides, and Joel is very willing to just give up Chet, which, by the way, is what we're saying is correct, right? We're saying don't in the Chet 0.1% example, even though he's in your alliance, which right now you would think Chet is in Joel's alliance because on this tribe it's 4 versus 4. But we kinda talked earlier in this podcast, like, even when that's the case, he's too much of a liability. So Joel's agreeing with us in this case. And then Ozzy says Ozzy agrees, like, "Well, if we do Chet this time, we'll do Stray next time." And that's kind of their agreement they make. And we talked about Suri hears this plan and decides it is unacceptable for her personally because she predicts, and I think correctly, based on what Ozzy said, that without Chet, now the next time they go to tribal council, it could be her and likely would be her. So she doesn't want to set that up. So instead, she changes the target to Joel and says what you say F was like, why are we assuming he's a great asset? He didn't help in this tribe. He didn't help his other tribe, which as a little bit hyperbole, but what she means is they lost a bunch of challenges even with Joel. So why should I believe he's such a great help to us? Um, and by God, Sarich changes everyone's mind again and gets her way again. When you think this time she doesn't have any more leverage than anybody else because now it's 4, like she's in a group of 4 and the other group's a group of 4. In fact, actually, this is a group of like everybody versus Chet, so maybe everyone against Chet and Tracy. So really, uh, she's not needed, and yet she gets her way again.
Smooth talker.
For real. Suri impresses me by doing that. Sometimes I don't get her, but doesn't mean she doesn't impress me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
she comes off like a little villainous, even though like she looks like stereotypical like sweetheart, like the super super good
Yes.
guy, and usually acts that way. But then there's just some times where she just throws
Yeah.
someone under the bus.
And she does it so casually too. Like and but also the way she does it, people listen. And I think that is such a big deal. Like the fact that people listen is impressive and they take her word for it. Like no one's ever been like, Sari, it's so annoying. Like let's just put her like she's just as like not good at challenges. Like why are we listening to her? but no one says that. No one has put that out there. She just slay away.
Yeah, I think if anyone shows their experience in the game among all the returning players, even though I haven't watched her season, she very much does come across as a seasoned player, right? Like not necessarily in the sense that like, oh, she's dominating these challenges, but her social game, she's quite self-aware about things in a way that you don't generally see with survivor players, and that's kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's weird because again, like, she like, judging a book by its cover looks like a stereotypical first boot, and, I mean, you guys don't know what happened, but even you would think on her original season, she might have been a target immediately, like, because often the weak players and challenges are targeted at the beginning,
Mhm.
um, but here she is doing pretty well, so we'll see how that develops. At this tribal council, because Suri gets her way, 6 votes against Joel. Joel himself votes for Chet. Eric also votes for Chet, so Eric was not clued into to what's happening here. So all the favorites vote for Joel plus Tracy and Chet, which makes sense. Tracy and Chet are aligned. Joel goes home. Do you wish to see Joel again?
No.
I don't think so. No, no, I don't. I'm okay. Thanks though.
Farewell, Joel. It's been swell. Hopefully, the silver lining, Joel, is that you won't have to see Chet for a while. And so we go to the next episode. Uh, and
Until he does see
I
Chet
know.
the next time.
Yes. Uh, um, it was called "It Hit Everyone Pretty Hard," um, and this is an episode of injuries. We've talked about it before, we Chet and Jonathan, but I think now it's time to talk about Jonathan. So across both of these episodes, so we see his original injury. We then see at night medical come to look at his, I guess, straight up puncture wound, and I mean, maybe and you're best to speak about what they do, whatever they do, extremely painful for Jonathan.
Yeah, I would say what it looked like is it looks like so they he had a puncture from the piece of stick, and I think what they did is probably put some lidocaine to numb that area down, clean it with some either it be just normal saline water or would it be like some sort of fluid with antibiotics on it and close it up. It's funny when I was watching when they were closing it, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why are they closing it up? He's probably has an infection in there, and it's probably gonna be so bad." And I'm like, "Oh man, I hope he gets antibiotics orally." And, I think it kind of the way it seems like he did get antibiotics orally, we don't know how I don't know how medicine goes in this show, but, oh man, it looked rough. He's not walking right. He looks like it wasn't like a superficial puncture. This was a deep puncture. Like, I would guess that they probably did several layers of sutures and then did the top part.
Yeah, you really felt for the guy here. Like in terms of his showing this season compared to the season in the past, I felt like he had a much better showing this time around.
Yeah, I
And
agree with you.
clearly, like, they still had him involved in the challenge for the episode. They didn't decide, okay, like we're gonna think about taking him out until afterwards when they had the medic come back and reevaluate things. And it was just very impressive the amount of willpower he showed to just stay in the game, right? We're talking about edits, but he decided because their tribe from the previous episode had one extra person due to the other tribe losing a member, they could have sat him out for the challenge. They didn't. He himself called he's like, yeah, no, like for the upcoming challenge, which from what I recall, they had to actually swim out on shore, grab like a bunch of like building materials, like wooden planks, a lot of them, take them back, and essentially use them to fill up this obstacle course for the opposing tribe, who had to then go through the obstacle course after they were done with it. And the first one to overcome the obstacle course that the other tribe had built for them would end up winning that challenge. that was a physical challenge. That was a challenge where if I looked at that and if my knee is in the state that his knee is in, chances are I'm not going to risk doing anything to further aggregate an injury. But kudos to Jonathan, the fact that he decided to stay in the game, help his tribe, not only helped his tribe, but they ultimately ended up winning that challenge too. Like that was just
Mhm.
mind-blowing, impressive.
Yeah. I do think I like this season Jonathan more than his prior season. He has, I wouldn't say won my heart, but more so like, I did gain a respect for him. Like I feel like he is much more likable in the season. He still sometimes get,
Yeah,
his foot stuck in his mouth sometimes, but he has been a very like other people was saying, he's a comforting leader character in this like one, which he was not previously.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
Kathy
I like to see
pointed
that
out that
growth.
she spent like 3 hours with him and immediately got like a good vibe with him, and that she's going to be missing him if he's out of the game. James, more funny situation there. James was like the one other guy in the tribe. This following this challenge, unlike in the previous episode where Jeff decided to give them some relief, Exile Island was back in play for this challenge. So after the Air AI, as I like to call them, the Air AI tribe ended up winning their challenge, they ultimately decided, okay, we can choose someone from the other tribe to go to Exile Island. They decided to pick on Chet. And ultimately, with Chet from their own tribe, they decided to send Jason. And that's another interesting duo that probably also does not like each other, but it's another story. And it turned into a situation where, because of whoever was left over in the tribe, it was just funny watching James for the rest of the episode, where he clearly was not comfortable being the only guy in that tribe, with everyone else being girls.
It
Yeah,
was funny to see
it's
that.
interesting because James has gotten on, especially you, Angie's nerves a bunch of times, but, like, different kinds of villains, like, especially John Robert last season that we watched, like, it'll be a whole different kind of problem here, but James is actually like, "Oh, I can't be here with all these girls," like, like like, I need he needs the other big strong guys, that's what he wants,
He wants a
and so
sausage fest.
he wants a sausage fish, that's exactly right, uh, but,
He wants what the brochachos had.
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, that probably would be a stream. Um, but closing the book on Jonathan, who has an abrupt end here. So, like you
Mhm.
said, because the second time gets looked at, now it's clearly infected, pus
Yeah.
and everything.
Does not look
And
good.
the now they have the medic there, so sitting with Jonathan and Jeff, the tribe kind of hovering in the background. And this is after they won that challenge. And what's weird to me is the medic does spell it out, like, "This is your situation. These are the risks. By the way, that risks ends with dot, 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 potentially fatal." Uh, and yet neither Jeff nor the medic says the words like, "You're being pulled." Like, Jeff kinda still makes Jonathan say, "Okay, let's go to the hospital." Like, think about what we watched in,
Season
49.
49. Yeah, with Jake.
Jake did not get a decision. He was being pulled from the
It's
Yeah,
very
good
different to
call.
hear that because, like, I felt like this is more even more serious than what Jake had. Not to undermine what Jake had, but Jake, it did not look like it was a low rate of venom. It wasn't like there was venom. It just like but for him, you could see there was, like sorry to be graphic, there was pustule, it was it was red, it was swollen. The doctor there even, like, palpated his groin, being like, "Do you have any pain there?" And you could see he was, like, reluctant to say, but he was like, "Yeah," like, indicating, "Hey, it seems like it's spread upwards, and, like, this could be leading to his death," like, this is, like this looks like he needs antibiotics IV done, he needs a washout, a clean out, and then, and then even then, he was like the doctor was like, "Yeah, if it was I would recommend you to go because you need all this stuff or else you will die." And then there's Jeff like, so what do you think, Jonathan?" Usually it's like, like, Kurt would be like, "Alright, listen. Like, you'll be like, what do you think, doctor, blah, blah, blah," and the doctor will be like, "He needs to get out of here and go there," and then Jeff will be like, "Alright, I'm sorry, but you gotta go, you fought with it," but now Jeff is like, "So, what you think? What you think?" Because
Yeah.
Jonathan did say, is like, I'm gonna stay," but then the provider said it once again, being like, you're gonna die. Like, this is gonna spread to your body. This is like, your only thing is to go to the hospital." And then finally he was like, "Okay, alright."
Yeah, no, it's, and even if not die, like, potentially just lose your leg. So
Yeah.
it's funny that, like, Jeff is all about that drama
He
where
is!
I feel like he probably would have liked it if Jonathan just exploded at him. Like, if he got into, like, some back and forth with Jeff, Jeff would have been like, "Oh, this is good for, like, ratings. Let's do that." Like, yeah, this is why I'm proposing the question rather than just making the decision for you based on, like, common sense. I need you to, like, get mad at me and, like, just explode. Tell me how much you want this.
See, maybe now, like, executive producer Jeff is like, I can't have people die on my show. That'll be the end of Survivor." But here, he's, like, more naive, like, "Yes, like, let's draw it out as long as possible."
He's like,
Um,
"Good, good. Say no
uh,
again. Thresh out."
also you mentioned Kathy for a second there, F. Very much, they're all emotional. They all hug him, Kathy hugs him, and
Mhm.
Kathy says, We all need you, Jonathan. I need you." And, uh, and I'm thinking, like,
Oh,
if I
yeah,
was
there's
Jonathan,
that.
like, Who are you?" What? So that
Well,
was
remember,
odd.
it's the fans, right? So she might have been a fan of Jonathan personally,
I suppose it's
like, as a
possible
writer.
that that threw me off. But, I hope Kathy can go on without Jonathan. Um, so Jonathan's gone. So, Med Evac, specifically not a quit. In fact, it gets even like a handshake from Jeff before he leaves. So 2 questions. If this had been your first time seeing Jonathan, would you have been interested in his previous season? And do you want to see him in a 3rd season?
This is this is very much a different response from what you would probably expect me to give. I would probably say yes to this one because
Mhm.
I feel like Jonathan had confidence in himself that he could go far, and honestly, he probably could have gone pretty far in this season with how things were stacking up. Is not as unlikable in this season as he was in the previous seasons, and I mean, based on his new tribe, they've been going on a win streak, which he was a major part of. He's got his own set of alliances. He's got multiple people he has options of working with. He definitely had a big opportunity had he not gotten evacuated out of the game. And it creates a what if scenario that I wouldn't even have been thinking about if he was a returning player in the first place. So I would welcome seeing Jonathan for a third time, which is usually not something you would hear me say.
Yeah, that's rare because some people will be like, "Nobody deserves a 3rd chance. I want new blood." So it's cool to hear you say that.
Yeah,
What
that's
about,
me.
'cause we were able to ask this question about Yao Man, but for Jonathan, you have already seen his 1st season, but do you think you would have been interested in going back to watch his 1st season if this had been your introduction to Jonathan?
Eventually. It wouldn't be at like it wouldn't be an immediate watch, but I think at some point I would.
Okay. And what about you?
I agree with you F completely on that. I think when his original season, I did not feel like I need to see him. If anything, when I saw him in this season, I was like, why him? But I think he's kind of he showed like he's matured, or I don't know, he's kind of changed. He showed like another side of him that I did not get to see in his original season. He kind of showed that he is a comforting like survivor player to others. He's a good leader. He helped his team. He actually had like a squad going on, and both like even after the swap. So I would want to see how he does, with his knee all better and not infected. So yeah, I would like to see him. And on the second question, if I was watching this and would I want to go back seeing him, I think I would, because I want to see like, oh, I wonder how he was originally, like I wonder, like I want to see him go farther and then be like shook, like whoa, what flash, what happened to you, what? So I think, yeah, that's where I would go.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, so next we had Exile Island. So Chet
I
and Jason
love this.
were sent to Exile Island. Oh, really, F? Do you think something interesting happened there?
I don't
And
know how Chet knew, but like Chet somehow immediately calls out that like, yeah, I think Ozzy actually has the hidden immunity idol. I was like, wait, what?
so here's what
Like
I
this
think. I I think that he is right because a broken clock is right twice a day. Chet just had no interest in exerting any energy while on Exile Island, and justifies it by just saying, Ozzy probably has it. He seems like he would have it."
I
And he's
thought the
right,
same thing.
but,
Yeah. And that's why I
uh
thought it was so funny. The entire sequence on Exile Island was so funny because even as you're describing, so Chet's, like giving it off as like, oh, like, yeah, like Ozzy has it. Because he doesn't want to put in the effort to looking for the hidden immunity idol himself, it gives him an excuse. So Jason's like, all right, well, I'll just kind of be doing my own thing. And then he goes on the hunt for the hidden immunity idol. And the funny thing is, before we see this entire sequence in play, we see a little bit a snippet of what Ozzy says. Yeah, yeah, just before this, I'm trying to jog my memory here.
yeah.
Ozzy just before this is like talking about how, yeah, like, Jason seems like a pretty naive person. I feel like if I leave a hidden immunity idol, he'll probably believe it's the real thing. And we see a sequence of Jason going along and, following the path to find the hidden immunity idol, which is a very poorly constructed fake hidden immunity idol, by the way, the one he finds.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
think
was,
you guys no sold. I brought this up last episode. I'm like, yeah, and he just kind of puts like a weird fake idol there. It looks kind of just like a stick. But now in this episode, the camera gives you the full shot in all its glory of what this fake idol looks like.
and it was not impressive. Yeah, it was like, dude,
No, it's terrible.
that's
It's a
just a
stick.
stick, bro.
It's the
Yeah,
stick
and
that hurt Jonathan.
for some reason, just as Ozzy's describing, it fools him. It fools Jason. Jason's like, "Oh, okay," and then he just shoves like a stick down his shorts. Like, where
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know. How does
"What?
it
Like,
not
what are you
fall right
doing?"
through? Do guys' shorts have an inner pocket I'm not aware of? Like, how does it
I
not fall right
No,
through?
mean, yeah, like, I guess there might be a way to do something, but it would not be a good way
like,
to do
bro,
it.
man, are you about to give yourself another? Like, are we about to have another infection or something? Like, what are you doing?
I mean, yeah, that stick's been there buried for like who knows how long. Ugh, this is wild. So yeah,
And it's a makeshift
and it
stick,
has
so it
like
might
a
have
little.
like jagged edges too. So it's like, why would you
It
do
kind of
that?
looks like it does, and with just like a little person carved in it, I guess. Like, wow. Yeah. So Jason now believes he
And
has the
so
power
I
of the hidden immunity.
I love that sequence. I loved it. He's convinced that he has the hidden immunity idol, and I love the fact that when they reconvene for the immunity challenge, he's just like, yeah, yeah, no, we know that Ozzy actually has the hidden immunity. And
But
then
I
you
can't
see
help but think
Ozzy's
maybe
Yep.
he thinks he does. Maybe he knows it's fake, maybe?
no,
I
it's
don't know.
he needs the alibi, so he's essentially just feeding them the story that Chet gave him. So it's funny because I don't
Yeah.
think both of them actually believe it, but they're actually right about it. And the look on Ozzy's face, he's like, "Wait, what the heck?"
Yeah,
Uh,
this is. I mean, I don't know that this because like so many times. Actually, I guess you guys have been kind of lucky, and you've seen fake idols be part of the story a couple times. When I think like over the history of the show, often like even if someone believes it, it's not like it does anything. But we'll see if this one actually comes into play at all, but wow. Uh, I I'm still bamboozled that Jason is confident beyond by the way, remember, super fans, tribe of fans of the show.
Could have fooled me.
But, hang on a second.
Yeah,
So,
so
they go from
oh,
Exile Island. Um, they're back, they've run the immunity challenge, which was, United We Stand. And this is your entire tribe is out on a platform in the water, and you've got these two big poles. You're supposed to kind of you hold some of your tribe holds one of the poles, and they're all in the water, and that one person is on the platform, balances on the first big pole, and then the rest of your tribe's holding up the second pole, so the person can kind of slowly walk from pole to pole, and you have to keep moving the back one to the front, and you'd make yourself get across. Or at least that's how the challenge is designed. When in fact, the Irai tribe uses mostly James, but everybody holds one of those poles, and then the person grabs on top, and they just walk them across. Like they move the pole across the water to the end.
You
And
mean just James, period.
j-
It's not the team, it's James.
it's fair. And this works swimmingly. Um, In
ooh,
fact,
I
it
like that.
gives them such an advantage that they even mess up once where Parvati has like a nasty fall backwards, which could have been horrible. Uh, but even with that, they're still able to completely destroy Malakal and like lap them and win that challenge. Oh, and at the very end, once you get both of them, you do this twice, and then everybody stands up on another platform. It's like a tiny platform, so people have to like squeeze next to each other and maybe even climb on top of each other, and then you're there. Um, so yeah, Irai wins.
Again, it's a
I
growing theme.
know, they're doing so well. Literally, James is just carrying, straight up carrying.
Yeah, I would like to believe that Parvati fell back in on purpose just to give them, like, somewhat of a chance, and it just did not matter.
Yeah. Ugh.
Uh, so because of this, Malakal's going back to tribal once again. Chet is in the crosshairs, and we talked about this in the beginning of the episode. It what we didn't say is that Amy is actually becoming part of the story because she's kind of been in the background for most of these episodes. But Amy on the favorites original favorites tribe has actually talked to some of the fans on this swap tribe. And also she says she's getting a little sick of how the fans are talked down about by basically by Ozzy, Amanda, and Suri. I mean, Suri's even just like, I'm tired of having to baby all of them and teach them everything and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so Amy's actually talking to them like as people, and in fact is interested in working with Tracy and therefore with Chet and with Eric in maybe targeting one of the favorites. It originally was Suri and it ends up becoming Ozzy as the target. And even though they they think it's possible, based on what Jason said, that Ozzy could have the idol, that he would never ever see this coming. And this is an excellent opportunity to blindside him out of the game. And by all rights, from what we see, that would have worked. If they
Yeah.
had actually all voted that way, Ozzy would be gone and his idol with him, and the favorites would have lost, like, maybe their best player. Um, Unfortunately, this is the situation we discussed where Chet has decided he wants to be voted out, and he cites the injury to his foot because of a piece of coral and other things, and Tracy, Eric, they basically beg, not Banu levels of beg, but they are like, "Please, Chet, just just don't you wanna become a legend? Imagine, like, the blind side of Ozzy." And they try, but it's to no avail because in the end I surmise what happened is that Chet eventually told them, "Nope, I'm not gonna do it." So everybody votes for Chet, except Chet himself, who votes for Eric. Tracy also votes for Eric. The best guess here, actually, let me just check if there's any. Okay, here we go. This is what we surmised. We didn't see it, but uh, Tracy's voting confessional, so like when she's voting, is Eric. Thank you for giving me permission to write your name because I vowed never to vote for Chet. So this means nothing, just a vote. And that's actually what we kind of theorized because we're like, why would A, not vote for Chet and B, vote for your own ally? But it's just because Tracy did say she would never vote for Chet. And if she voted for Ozzy or Cherie or Amanda, now one of them gets a vote. They're suddenly on edge. You're going to hunt down who did it. It only leads to bad things.
I've never seen a
So that's
player
why.
so invested in playing the game yet be so dead set on not winning the game, like I've seen in Tracy.
Really? Elaborate.
Like,
Like, what do you mean by that?
why would why would you be going this far for Chet? Like, I don't understand that. I know it's, as I was describing before, he serves as a lifeline, but he's a lifeline who, for some reason, has continued to float by the skin of his teeth from early in the season. And the minute he's gone, like, you're very likely going to be next. Like, why are you not trying to evolve beyond Chet? Like, I don't understand that. Like, she sees a play and sticking with Chet, and that might be all she has to work with, but we're now 6 episodes in, and I don't know what else is her strategy right now. And that is pretty alarming.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because I mean, it would have all been worth it if she could have pulled off the miracle one more time and got him to vote Ozzy. Then I think we'd be praising Tracy as like a legendary player, to be honest.
But
But
Chet himself would
unfortunately,
still be gone, and I still think that Tracy would be following pretty shortly. I just don't see what she's doing that's keeping her in
well,
for the
no,
long haul.
I mean that all of her work to keep Chet in would have been worth it if Chet actually wanted to, like, she did vote Ozzy, so then Ozzy goes home instead of
Yes.
Chet, and now you could even cut Chet potentially or let him quit because you've done what you needed to do. So she got close, but yeah, in the end, it appears not to be worth it. And like you said, now, I mean, we've given Tracy a lot of praise, I think, the last couple episodes, but now she finds herself apart from her other ally, Kathy, because Kathy's on the other tribe. In now there's 4 favorites and 2 fans left on this tribe. And even her original fans, like let's say the merge is tomorrow, she wasn't aligned with the rest of the fans. She didn't vote with the favorites this time. She may not have voted for Ozzy or Sri or anything, but she didn't vote with them. So if someone's counting votes, they're like, oh, somebody didn't vote Chet, then that could be bad. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think you're right. Tracy does find herself in a lot of danger. She went high risk, high reward, and she'll have to do something dramatic, I think, to dig herself out of this now.
Which is weird because, I mean, she's showing semblance of a pretty good social game if she's able to sway people's opinions. It's just, it's all tied around Chet for some reason.
I know the one person she couldn't sway was her own number 1 ally.
It goes to show you how strong that alliance is from his end.
Yeah, is that the best thing we can say about Chet? Like, had like a rock solid alliance?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if we could give him one thing.
Oh, what could have been? What could have been? Um, so you want to see Chet again?
Absolutely not.
I think based on everything we've been saying in this episode, hell yeah.
What?
No, I'm
Good.
joking. I'm joking. I'm
I'll keep that on
Oh
joking.
my
record. It'll be
Guys,
taken out.
it's Wednesday. It's opposite day.
Yeah.
Opposite day. Yes
Actually,
means
S's
no.
winner pick was Chet all along. Actually, both his winner pick was Chet.
Before he gets eliminated, can I choose one of Chet as my winner pick?
I will allow it.
Oh,
Only for Chet.
I feel like Tracy would
Uh,
do that. Be like, yeah.
in fact, Jeff, can I sacrifice my spot in the game to bring Chet back in the game? Which should be
Stranger
wild.
things have happened. Yeah.
But yeah, so two episodes. A lot did happen, though. I think that the ultimate vote outs. I mean, Joel was surprising just because like you thought surely they target Chet and they didn't. This one wasn't surprising, other than wow, they were right there being able to blindside Ozzy or Suri, and they they fumble. Well, I guess it's just because they had Chet as an ally. Like, imagine if instead of Chet, Joel was here. So it was Eric, Tracy, and Joel. I think Joel would have easily like agreed with them. They would have voted out whoever they wanted to, and then suddenly they'd be in charge of the game on
Yeah.
their tribe.
I I would like to
Man.
think in some like alternate universe where pretty much most of the season happened a slightly different way, but like the cast of characters are pretty much the same. It would be funny to think, yes, they end up somehow voting out Ozzy here. Chet's still slowly dying over the course of the season, but they, for some reason, are deciding not to vote him out. And he eventually skirts his way into winning Survivor just because his entire case for winning is he was like essentially sent to like every single tribal, got multiple votes, but always somehow survived. And that's actually somehow really impressive.
I guess that's the one thing to close the book on this for real this time. If you are 100% confident in your own alliance, an alliance that doesn't have Chet in it, um, maybe you just keep voting for people. You vote out people that are not Chet because you're assuming like he'll just quit outright. Therefore, like it's two for the price of one. Like imagine I vote out Tracy at this, and then like tomorrow Chet just quits the game. Well, I just got out two fans.
Yeah.
And if Chet doesn't quit and we lose because of it, I was confident in my alliance, so I'm not worried about me going home. And then we'll just vote out Eric in that case, and then hope that Chet quits the next day. And if he still doesn't quit, and then we go tribal again, then we finally do vote out Chet.
I will tell
That's a
you, I
brutal way, but that could work.
it does. It does. There's some options there. And I will tell you that if somehow Chet made his way to like a post merge situation, if I was playing in the game, that's the only time where I'd be like, yeah, no, I need to keep Chet in the game. He needs to make final three with me. This is one of the most confident wins I'll have if he makes it to final three with me. That's a situation where, like, okay, whatever Tracy's doing would make more sense if it's like in a post merge setting.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's the other half of what we talked about, kind of the new era thinking. And it's even before new era. It's probably like season 22 on. So it's not like a brand new thing, but it's not just targeting threats early. It's also being like, Chet, he'll never win. I want to keep him as long as possible. So I'll make up an excuse of why not to vote him out because I intend long term. So there's like both sides of that combine to make people vote out surprising players early on. So I think that's the phenomenon going on. Um, all right. So winner picks. If you have Parvati and Eric. Eric went to tribal council both times these episodes. Parvati's tribe did not. So, do you wish to change either of those picks to someone you might have more confidence in?
It is getting a little troublesome following Eric's story right now. But still, I think if they continue to go to tribal for another episode or two, I would be surprised given what we've seen if he's one of the next vote outs. It seems like even from like the favorite side, if they somehow can sway a vote, Ozzy could be vulnerable, or I think for sure the next vote out within that tribe would probably be Tracy. So I think I'm good to stick with Eric for now.
All right, locked in. And you still have Ozzy and Amanda. They both went to tribal both of these episodes. but both survived both of these episodes, even if
Mhm.
it got a little scary. Do you wish to switch from either of them to someone you have more confidence in making the final and winning?
I feel like I should, like, switch out to Suri or something, because for some reason, I feel like Suri is just gonna go far, you know? But I'm also worried that I say this and she's going out next week. So I'm gonna keep my votes, for Amanda and Ozzy for now.
All right, locked and loaded. Very good. Well, that brings us to the end of season 16, Fans versus Favorites, episodes 5 and 6. And tune in next time as we will continue on with episodes 7 and 8, which are basically the halfway points. So get hyped.
Woo! Let's go.
But until then, and until we speak again, ciao.